Governor Antonio Delgado, thanks so much for doing this. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Let's first start with the Elise Stefanik announcement that she's running for governor. Your initial reaction to that?
Well, we saw it coming. This is not really anything new. At the end of the day, this is somebody who I actually served with back in Congress before she sold her soul in defense of Trump. And so I have a personal view on how she has basically put herself in a position in pursuit of power at the expense of the very people who gave her the power in the first place. And we saw it coming, and here we are.
What do you think of the way she sort of has been painting New York? And she's used, I mean, affordability, as you know, says it's too expensive to live here. People are leaving the state. That does, that is something that you have spoken about. We've heard obviously Governor Hochul speak about that too. But what do you think of the way she is presenting the state as it currently stands, in particular today?
Her rhetoric is empty. It's hollow at the core. There's nothing to it. I mean, I think she may have just stumbled upon the word affordable. So, at the end of the day, she's going to say what is convenient, just like she decided that it was convenient for her to saddle up along Trump when she thought it might help her, despite the fact that she had a career prior to doing this that one could have argued was a lot more reasonable. So she made the decision, a very calculated, cold-hearted political decision to pursue power and advance by hitching her wagon to somebody who's morally bankrupt.
How do you respond to some of the things that she said, other members of her party, in terms of using you as ammo against Hochul at the end of the day? I'm saying that her own lieutenant governor won't even support her. That's how unfavorable she is, as using you as a part of that argument to bring Hochul down.
She's going to use whatever she wants to use. And at the end of the day, that's who she is. I also will say, from my vantage point, New York does deserve better across the board, and that's why I'm running, right? I do believe that the status quo is broken. I do believe that the system is not working for the people, and I do believe that the current leadership is not meeting the moment, and that we do need decision makers who are more bold, who have a vision, who want to transform the system and not necessarily just manage it or subscribe to conventional thinking that I think over time has only reinforced economic inequality across the state.
How do you think Tuesday's results in the city, the state, the country factor in here?
I mean, I think they speak to the fact that the public is very hungry for generational change, bold, decisive change. They don't want the same politics as usual. They don't want small-minded politics. They want big thinkers. They want innovative thinkers. They want folks who are willing to shake things up in a constructive and thoughtful way. And from where I sit, I'm excited to be able to uh, build off of that energy and take it all across the state and make sure that folks in upstate, downstate, rural communities, urban communities, black, white, brown, are feeling heard and accounted for when it comes to economic issues that have for far too long left them behind.
You've now been out here for months at this point, I could say, of campaigning on your own. Has your approach, have you evolved? How have you evolved in that approach? As we look forward now that we're past this general election to the spring and then closer to June, how has your approach evolved over the course of the past few months?
Well, I would say what's been most exciting for me as I've traveled all across the state and connected with folks is hearing from the people and understanding what they care about and to genuinely be a reflection of their concerns. And there's no doubt in my mind that people are hungry for real change. And by change, what we're talking about is we're done with the political actors who basically are okay doing whatever corporate power says to do. We're done with political actors who are more concerned with staying aligned with groupthink when it comes to power politics and partisan politics than they are with actually fighting for everyday folks who are hurting. They want folks who are going to fight for affordable housing. And that doesn't just mean giving tax credits away to developers. That actually means a statewide rental assistance program. That means stabilizing rents. They also want healthcare that is affordable. They want universal healthcare, a system that moves us beyond the insurance marketplace that is sucking the life out of literally the life out of folks all across this state. They want universal child care. And yes, they want folks who are willing to say we should tax the ultra wealthy. We should tax big corporations to make sure that we are sharing in our prosperity and actually addressing the scourge of economic inequality that is the poison pill of our democracy. So what I have learned from the people is they are and they deserve more from their leadership right now. And I'm excited to do that, whether it's through housing, whether it's through healthcare, whether it's through a living wage that we have to actually promote and deliver. These are the things I'm going to keep pushing for as lieutenant governor and certainly in my candidacy for governor.
Last time I spoke to you, we did speak about utility fees and energy and everything like that. And of course, today we had the pipeline approval, something that the DEC had rejected a few times. And you also released a statement in confluence with that. What was your response to seeing that new pipeline approved by the DEC today?
Well, I think it's a testament to the pathetic manner in which the governor has chosen to not lead in this moment. We have state laws that speak to the quality of our water. This is our jurisdiction. And as state leaders, we have an obligation to protect New Yorkers. And the pipelines, the permits for these pipelines, for this pipeline, Nessie Pipeline, they've been denied multiple times in years past, multiple times by the DEC. They've been denied based on the science and based on the potential harm that could be done to New Yorkers. So the question then asks, well, what changed? What has actually changed when it comes to the science? Nothing. What has changed when it comes to the facts on the ground? Nothing. What's changed is politics. What's changed is Trump. And what's changed is that we have a governor who's willing to capitulate to Trump. And you can't sit here and say you want to fight against Trump or you want to fight against Stefanik even, and that you're going to beat back what their brand of politics represents, the cruelty and the ugliness and the divide and conquer strategy, and yet at the same time be willing to capitulate on this and fast track these water quality permits, which, by the way, aren't only going to put New Yorkers in harm's way from a health standpoint, but economically are going to cost $2 to $3 billion. And those costs are going to be passed down, as you might imagine, to who? New Yorkers. So the utility rates are actually going to go up as a result of this, upwards of $7 to $8 a month as a result. And so when it comes to this decision made by the governor, it reveals a political calculation that is untethered to the very people that she should be protecting and thinking about. And I think it's one of those examples of why we need new leadership.
The argument for pipelines like this and the Constitution one as well, which it looks like there will be another application for that in the near future, is that it'll make the energy grid more reliable and it'll help you the utility costs. So what do you make of the of being a more complete energy portfolio, if you will, in the face of the CLCPA, which, as we know, has its own issue in terms of trying to be implemented right now? What do you make of the arguments that this would help make New York's energy more affordable and be able to continue to keep up with energy demands when it comes to things like data centers and things of that nature?
Well, let's be clear. The DEC's own analysis of this is that to invest in these pipelines, these frack gas pipelines, is inconsistent with the mission of the CLCPA. So we have the boldest climate law in the country, and yet we have a governor who's willing to implement these water permits in a fashion that actually undermines the goals of the CLCPA. You're not going to meet those goals when you're actively undermining them. Let's just be clear about that. And then when it comes to the costs of energy and even the reality of the grid and its needs, the projections of the monopolies, whether it's Central Hudson, National Grid, all these projections decades out say that we do not have to worry about the load management. So when we're talking about how we leverage the timeline that we do have where it might become critical, well, know what we could be doing? We could actually be robustly investing in green energy. We could be robustly investing in wind and in solar. By the way, that creates jobs, good paying jobs. And it's the cheapest way to source energy. Instead, we have a governor who, again, wants to play footsies with Trump and at the same time talk about building out nuclear, which will take decades, at least a decade to build out. And it's one of the most cross-prohibitive things to do, and yet not do the very thing that actually would source our energy cheaply and create jobs, which is to invest robustly in green energy. So I think it's pretty clear that her approach is more about enriching the fossil fuel industry than it is about uplifting the people of the state.
Finally, here, now that we're through this general election, what is your next step in terms of your outreach, your campaign? What do things look like as we reach the end of 2025 here?
Well, we're going to keep building, sir. We're going to keep moving across the state. We're going to keep engaging with people. We're going to keep making sure that their voices are accounted for. We're going to make sure that whether it's on healthcare, whether it's on childcare, whether it's on living wage, whether it's on housing, that we're going to push these issues forward. And certainly we're going to continue to bring accountability to Albany. You know, we have work to do in this moment. And I just want to say this. It is not enough in this climate, in this moment, to talk about how important it is to fight against Trump. That is not enough and never should be enough. What needs to be done is to establish to New Yorkers, what is it we're fighting for? Where are we going? What is the mission? How are we going to actually correct the economic imbalance that leaves 1 in 5 of New Yorkers' children in poverty? That's leaving 2 out of 5 households unable to afford basic necessities. These are the questions that we have to wrestle with if we're really about the business of restoring people's confidence in government. And that's what I'm excited to do in the coming weeks and months.
Antonio.